Are we live? All right, so we'll go ahead. I'm still going to play the theme song because that's why we have it. Welcome everybody to another 12 o'clock show with Mayor Joe with not one, not two, but three total guests. So many that you can't even see everybody on screen. And it's also everybody's favorite Halloween, even though some people don't feel the ability to dress up. We'll leave that for later. Joining me to start things off is Reynoldsburg City School Board member Angela Abram, and joining her actually is Reynoldsburg City Schools President Debbie Dunlap. We also have a representative from the ICE Foundation that we're going to be talking about in a little bit, so we're going to give him his own little stand on some things here in a little while, but we've got a lot of things to kind of talk about today. So welcome, both of you. I appreciate you being here. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of good things going on. Angela, this is your, I guess you'd say your first full year into everything. So now that everything's kind of gotten back, what are you most excited about everybody being back in schools and things kind of going as normal as they can?
It's been delightful just to have the kids have that routine and being able to interact with each other on a daily basis, getting those social skills back and just learning, just the basic facts that are being shared every day at school. I think it's wonderful to have the teacher-student interaction. I know when I'm at work, I'm having a ball just seeing the laughter and just watching a child be a child. So I think that's the most exciting thing, is just that every day that we were accustomed to but didn't even understand how precious it was. Mm-hmm. So it's been a delight.
A lot of the you don't know what you've got till it's gone type of
yeah.
Now, you had the opportunity to participate in your first homecoming parade.
Yes.
Not too long ago. It seems like it wasn't too long ago, but it was about a month ago. So what did you think of, it's not a small parade.
It is not. So being a band parent, I've always been in the parades from a parent standpoint, but this is my first opportunity as a board member. And it was a blast, just being able to see this boat come to life and become a Raider Nation ship, and to see our homecoming candidates on the ship and everything. It was great. I enjoyed walking through the neighborhoods, saying hello to everyone. It was wonderful. Amazing costumes and just great to see all the kids interacting. I'd like to thank Joe Sorensen and his whole team with the student council who put this together, because it was a wonderful event, and can't wait to do it again.
Well, it'll be here before you know it. Now, obviously, there's a lot of things going on in Reynoldsburg City Schools, but other than the bond, because we'll get to that later, what are some of the big things going on in Reynoldsburg City Schools right now?
I spoke with our superintendent about that, and one of the things that I know that he's really excited about is the Center for Deeper Learning, and all of the student engagement that's taking place at all levels. I think they go and do their walkabouts, and so I know they had one this week with 9X, and he said every classroom he went into was just really good student engagement, and it's consistent each place that he goes. So I know we're excited as board members to know that deeper learning is taking place.
Which is good. Everybody, they always ask, what exactly is the office of deeper learning? Do you get a good sense of what's it trying to accomplish?
I think it's trying to accomplish more, just a deeper dive into a subject, so that we're not just doing that surface topical look, but really being introspective and understanding what does this mean for this student for that subject.
Yeah, it's what I figured. It's just, a lot of times that, whether it's a coordinator position or something like that. But that's something I think that's important, because we've, the former teacher in me, knows about. You can talk about the topics things. You can talk about the bold-faced words in a lesson, but it's, do they actually understand everything after that? How does it impact not only them today, tomorrow, and things like that?
I think it's very interactive,
yes,
too. Absolutely. So, the kids are taking a very interactive and diving in deep with a lot of, they have these great kits that we were able to see that allows them to explore different careers and what have you. So definitely that deeper dive and very hands-on, too.
Well, one of the things that board members get to do is they get to participate, and usually they're asked to go to all sorts of different activities that the schools do. Obviously we've got the Raider football team getting ready for their playoff run starting on Friday night. But what are some of your favorite activities that you like to go to that Reynoldsburg has?
I can't even prioritize them.
Okay.
I love the athletics. I love the arts. I'm a band mom. I love the musical programs. I love the theater. So I try to attend whatever my schedule permits. And I certainly have not been able
If you don't know this lady, she gets around to an awful lot.
Okay, I do my best, just because I really enjoy hanging out with kids. My whole life, my whole career has been centered around children. So, of course, I want to see what's happening in our community. So it's been a delight. So you name it, I'm pretty much there for it.
How about you, President Dunlap?
Well, again, it's very difficult to prioritize, but I'm going to say what I did most recently last night and went to the first orchestra concert in nearly 2 years. And I think all of us were shedding a few tears, but they were tears of joy to be there in person, because first of all, it's just amazing to hear that music live. There's something very fulfilling about that. But then also it was amazing that these students during the pandemic, when you maybe can't be in class with your teachers, to learn an instrument. If anybody is a parent of an orchestra student, you had to get up there at the very beginning and try out their instrument. And my daughter does cello, which is incredibly difficult, I think. So to see these kids not only learn an instrument when we were in and out of school, but to excel at that was absolutely amazing.
I figured you were going to say orchestra. I figured that. I always enjoyed the art shows, especially when they had some social causes, whether it was like the Humane Society or the Sam Bish Foundation, things like that. Those were always things that I enjoyed. So now we'll get a little bit more serious. We know that in about a week, the bond issue, a little less than a week, the bond issue is up for a vote. And I know you've been very busy knocking doors, getting out there, both of you have, talking to the community and things like that. What are some of the most common questions that you get asked when you're out talking to residents about this?
The most common question I get is, how much would this cost me? And, we'll give them the nice bond card that gives all the information. And I say, it's going to be about $14 per $100,000. And the other question I've been getting is, how will this benefit me if my children, or if my children are grown, or I don't have children in the community? And some people will kind of self-answer, and then others are waiting for a response. And, my response is, our community is as strong as the schools. And if the bond doesn't pass, then it will decrease some of our property value. And, that will decrease, your individual property tax as we move forward. So I feel like some people were able to answer in the sense of knowing that as their tax dollars go towards our kids, then it's also strengthening our community. And then so it almost becomes cyclical. My kids are out of the district, they're grown, but I'm supporting this bond because I want the same that my kids were able to receive for the next generation that's coming forward. So those are common questions I get. I don't know. Did you get similar?
Well, very similar, but I think I wanted to mention maybe a couple of surprises. First of all, people are very surprised that Hannah Ashton is 153 years old. And when you put that into a time frame, into some type of historical time frame, and you say it was built shortly after the Civil War ended, we see some jaws drop.
Yes.
I think the other thing people are very surprised about also is that we have seen so much growth here in our school district as well, 23% over the past 10 years. So again, a great problem to have. And as we welcome these students, we want to provide all of them with the best and most equitable experience possible.
Definitely. I won't get off on my school funding rant, but we did come across somebody, you and I, when we were out knocking, talking about how the process started in the first place. And obviously it's before you and I were even a glimpse in anyone's eye about how they decided for school funding. And it's one of those things where, this is kind of what the playbook that we have. This is what we need to do. These are the rules that we have to play by. And we want the best for our community. The schools grew by 23%. Reynoldsburg itself grew by 14.5%, one of the largest growth measures in the last census. So a lot of things out there. So I know we've got a lot of good questions, so we'll get more into that in a little bit. So you mentioned music, so I'm going to go ahead and move a little plug up. So the Raider Marching Pride, they got their one, and they got a number of awards, superior ratings at a number of competitions over the last few weeks. So this Saturday, they are going to be leaving from the Livingston campus at 11:30 to go to state championships out in Hilliard. So I'm hoping that everyone out there who's watching will at least be able to spare just a little bit of time and come out to the Livingston campus and then wave these people off. Remember, these are kids that have dedicated hours and hours and hours to their show, their talent, their music, all at the same time. So we want to support them and be out there as we wish them luck at the state finals, just as much as we would any athletic team out there as well. They're just as deserving of that kind of support. So I know I'm going to be there on a busy Saturday. I've got about 8 minutes of free on Saturday that I'm going to have kind of blocked in for that one. So I will definitely be there for that. Hope you will both be able to join this weekend as well. Now, as a member of the board, you both have had to make you can't answer. You already did this with one before.
I got a free pass.
You have to make a lot of big decisions. And so is there a process that you go through when you know that there's something that's coming up that you have to vote on? What is it that you go internally? How do you come to that decision?
Well, I certainly try to gather all the information, and then I look at what's the impact of a yes vote or a no vote, who will it impact, and how intense will that impact be. And then I'm looking at what are the financial ramifications of that decision, and then how do we move forward collectively with the decision that we make. So a lot of wisdom and discernment. I pray a lot. I think about it, before I make those decisions, because it's it's a weighty decision. You are impacting lives, so you got to be careful with those decisions.
Okay. Now, one last question before we see if there's any audience questions. Because you guys have to work or something today, you couldn't dress up in costumes. If you were able to dress up in costume today, what would you do? What would you dress as for just if you could pick any costume? What would you go as for Halloween this year?
I would be Glinda the Good Witch from Wizard of Oz.
There we go. Fair enough. President Donnelly?
Oh my goodness. I think, what do I have in my closet? And I still have that, I have my wig from when I was Monica from Friends. That was a real good one because no one recognized me.
You. No.
But I might be a Raider again. That was awfully fun, being a Raider.
Well, this is costume number 2. I had to be presentable yesterday because we had this big thing coming out that we'll talk about in a little bit. So I did wear a suit. As opposed
Were
to
you the mayor?
I was the mayor last night, yes.
Dressed up.
So, but we'll be back, like I said, today and then in the next couple of days, and obviously my favorite time is Friday. So we're going to go ahead and check to see if we have any questions that have come in.
None at this time.
None at this time? Are we actually sure? Because last time there was a delay. We are live, because last year when we did this, we kept talking for about 15 minutes and then didn't know. Just curious. Okay, good. We're just making sure we're live. I know both of you have incredibly busy schedules, but if you could hang around just for a little bit, we'd appreciate it. Just kind of go through some big information. Obviously, Halloween is this week. Trick or treat is tomorrow night from 6 to 8. It is rain or shine. It has not changed the process for a long time. It's a couple of things that kind of factor into it. One, it's about safety in the community. It's about making sure that we have allocated enough resources for our police department so they are out in the neighborhoods, making sure that nobody's driving fast during those particular times where kids are trick-or-treating. So that's the number one priority, is the safety aspect of things. The rest of it is just coordination with other local communities as well. We want to embrace, the kids in our community go out and get candy, as do others, and we want to have that at the same time. And then the rest of it is we live in Ohio in late October, and so odds are weather is not always going to be cooperative. Last year, I saw a lot of kids come to my house, and they got a big kick out of my inflatable ectomobile and things like that. But the kids were very happy, even when it was sprinkling a little bit and all of that other stuff. So the kids are always usually a little bit more resilient on that one. So
I have trick-or-treated in the snow.
Oh, yeah.
I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania, so a little bit of rain. Well, Glenda, you won't melt. No one will melt. It'll be fine.
I'll just wave my magic wand.
That's right.
All right, so we do have a couple of more serious issues to talk about. We are going to be doing what is called a charter review process starting very soon. So in the next week or two, we're going to get some information out to residents in Reynoldsburg on our webpage, on our Reynoldsburg Connects, as well here on the 12 o'clock show for individuals who are interested in looking at our city charter and making recommendations for what things can be changed. One big topic that always comes up is, for those of you that are unaware, Reynoldsburg is one of only 2 communities in Central Ohio that has partisan elections, where you actually see political affiliation behind the name. So that's something that's there. Is that something that the community in Reynoldsburg wants to get rid of? Do we want to keep it? Those types of things. So I've got a little bit of information that I'm going to read for you, and really it's fun to read this stuff. A charter review commission consisting of 5 members who are electors of the city, meaning you're registered to vote here. There will not more than 2 members shall be adherents of the same political party. So you would, in theory, have 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, an independent, or some combination therein, but no more where you would have a majority of all that. We will be accepting basically a resume, a letter of interest, maybe with a couple of questions to answer sometime in December to establish this. And the Charter Review Commission shall study and review the provisions of this charter and operations of the city, and shall report its recommendations, if any, for changes or revisions in this charter to council no later than 5 days of August following the appointment of the commission. So next August would be the deadline, unless council decides to move it further on. The commission shall submit their recommended amendments to council, and upon 2/3 vote of council amendments shall be submitted to the voters, and the voters will have a deciding say on whether or not those charter provisions are changed. One of the provisions that was changed in 2017, the last time a charter review was done, was I believe they kind of altered the way the appointment process is for Planning Commission and Building and Zoning and Board of Appeals Commission. So those were kind of changed and filtered through. I do believe that the partisan issue will probably be something that's there because honestly, there's not a lot of partisanship in the city from the operational standpoint. I realize on social media there is a ton of partisan conversations out there. But as far as the city is concerned, filling a pothole is not a Republican way or a Democratic way. It's filling a pothole, those types of things. So that's just my thoughts on it. But again, we'll see exactly what happens with the Charter Commission as we kind of go through the process. We will also probably be looking for members of the Planning Commission and or the BZBA, the Building and Zoning Board of Appeals Board. So they'll come out as well, so our citizens can do that. Typically, those positions are appointed by the mayor and approved by council. So those are a couple of things that are coming up. I wanted to go over an update on Main Street. It's been relatively traffic-free recently, so don't worry, we're going to stop that real soon. We are waiting on AEP to get some of the materials in. So that area basically at Lancaster and Main Street, those power lines in that area will be coming down. We're going to bury them underneath the ground. We're just waiting until they get all of their resources in. So we're waiting on AEP for that particular thing. So those are the kind of the updated of the not so exciting things going on. Some exciting events that are coming up is this Saturday, November 6th, or not this Saturday, next Saturday, November 6th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is Helping Hands Food Pantry's food drive. So we'll have some information out there, sponsored by the Visitors Bureau and some other things like that. We also have a Diamond Club cash drop. I know some people in this office are going to be participating in that. There'll be people out at the 5-Way, Livingston and Bryce, Main and Rose Hill, those types of things. So look forward to supporting our Raider Diamond Club out there. Before we get to any other fun stuff, do we have any other no questions?
We're quiet today.
All right. Are you sure we're live?
I'm pretty sure we're live.
I mean, that would be an easy reason why we're not getting questions if we're not. But and so now I'm going to kind of talk about a couple of cool things. Obviously, yesterday we had the big announcement for Reynoldsburg, but we did have a smaller announcement that may have gone unnoticed. And so what I'm going to reveal to you today are the first brand new looks at our new library.
Sweet.
That's going to be located on Bryce Road. So it's in the same location that's there. So I just want to shout out to Councilmember Kristen Bryant and Councilmember Stacy Baker for their, I'll just say the polite way, their determination to make sure that Reynoldsburg stayed on their agenda to make sure that that library was improved upon. So they get to sit here, so I'm going to show them first, then I'm going to show you. There you go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and show you what this will be what you will see if you are driving on Bryce Road. So if everybody can take a look at that, this is what you're going to see when you're on Bryce Road coming in. And then from the south end of things, this is where basically you're in your parking and you'll get to come up and take a look at that. This is what you're going to see in that location. It's a very open format, lots of glass, windows, and natural light, all of these types of things. It's going to be an absolutely gorgeous thing. We're going to have more sites, including a site plan, so you can see what kind of rooms there are, things like that. Now I'll let them look. But those are going to be the things that the community is going to be a part of. So the schedule, as of right now, subject to change at the moment's notice, the schedule is that the current building that the library is in, they're going to go ahead and move those books and those resources to the little shopping center that's right behind there in the former Dollar General. So that's going to be the temporary location for the library. So we're not going to lose services. So you'll still be able to go there, check out your books and get your books checked in and things like that. And then sometime in spring, probably just as the weather's starting to thaw, I would probably say Marchish, somewhere around in there. The current building that the library sits in, and then the building next to it where they've got some office supplies. You probably see some fencing around it. The last day I drove around, there was some fencing around it. Those two buildings will be demolished, and once those are demolished and cleared out of the way, then they will begin construction on their new project. So that's a really exciting thing for the city of Reynoldsburg.
Yes.
It's going to be a beautiful facility. It's going to go great with our new Alliance facility that's going to be looking to start next year as well as Bryce Park, which we're just waiting on some final details from that, but it's going to be a beautiful thing, and that continues that opportunity to revitalize that Bryce Road corridor as we continue, as I say, to my march to 70 to help improve that whole area. I'm not sure, but I think we may have a question. No? Okay. All right. Well, I got that. I thought I got an indication, but I guess I was wrong. So those are a couple of things that are coming up there. But I do want to bring in my next guest.
Before you dismiss us,
Yes.
can I give one last little plug? Okay.
Absolutely. I don't know what you're plugging, but go for it.
Well, the bond and the levy, of course. And I just wanted to say that there is a lot of information out there. Obviously, when we go to doors, people ask us a lot of questions. Facebook is not always the best source for that information, for the most accurate information, right?
Really?
Put on your surprise face, right?
Huh.
I would encourage people, we have two websites that you can check out. One is for Reynoldsburg Schools. That one will have a lot of pictures. It does have a lot of information, ways to donate and what have you, but we're in our final stretch. I think mostly that one has a lot of pictures, some great information. If you want to dig down into the weeds a little bit more, reyn.org has a tab on our homepage where you can visit that as well. That has a lot of information there, Q&A. You can also go to the treasurer's page, which she has a lot of transparency there. We've always tried to have a lot of information out there for our constituents. You can check out the 5-year forecast, the explanation for the 5-year forecast. If you don't get down, if you're mid-level weeds, then you are going to look into the financial profile, which will give you a lot of, pie charts and graphs and things to explain how the district operates and where the finances go. We also have Checkbook out there, which is a kind of daily look into how we are spending our money. So reyn.org is a great place to get the most accurate information when it comes to the operations of the school district, the finances of the school district, and anything that you might want to know about this bond.
And I would assume that even over the next couple of days, people that have questions can, call and talk with the treasurer. They can call and talk with
Absolutely.
you.
Our phone numbers
those
are
things.
published. The treasurer, her door is wide open. And she will take any phone call as well.
And I don't mean to make light of this particular thing, but I know somebody had posted at one point in time that if you want the best assessment of what it's actually going to cost your specific house, the Franklin County Auditor site or the Licking County Auditor site is going to have a better connection for it. I would not go to, like a homes.com or a Zillow or something like that. Those things are going to be completely different. That's not going to give you the best number, so you can get an idea of it.
In addition to that, Tammy Miller, our treasurer, put out a video for both the Licking side and the Franklin County side on how to get to that page and to get your numbers for your home.
And it's a lot more, like I said, that's the accurate way to figure out exactly
Absolutely.
what's going on. Now, I know now this time we did finally get a question,
You did
right?
get a question.
Okay,
It's
so
not about the bond, but it is about a course offering. It says Encore Academy offers an Adulting 101 course. This course is not available at the Livingston High School campus. Are there any plans underway to make the course available at both campuses?
I don't see why not. Not sure why it's not accessible now. Is it online?
No, it's in the class. In fact, I think we had some pictures from it the other day, and some students were actually ironing clothes. So doing some adulting things that we sometimes we enjoy, sometimes we don't.
Requests? Is there anything we can use?
Do you need something done around your house?
There are a lot of Halloween costumes that are going to need cleaned after this week. So
So I'm unaware of why that is just at one campus as opposed to the other. Definitely could find out and get back in some way. Definitely email us, but I will ask that question. And it could be a pilot. I know we have a number of different pilots throughout the district, and that could be a pilot course that might be offered later on. But we'll definitely ask.
I honestly think a pirate course would be fun.
Would be
too.
great.
It's just-
Yes. What's their favorite letter?
No, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I know. I already get accused of making too many dad jokes as it is on that one. So
Joe, this one is for you. It says, when will the sign for Huber Park on Livingston be replaced?
the sign for Huber Park on Livingston. I will check with our sign department to see when that is. I know that one of the things that is a big goal of the city is our entry and exit ways to be better identified all the way across. So that way you know when you're coming in to the city and things like that. Now it's easy. I think next year we're looking at something on the Main Street side by Bryce Road. But that absolutely is something that we can take a look at. I just have to check to see where it's at on the schedule. All right. Well, thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you for having us.
You are free to go, unless you want to just kind of hang off stage as we talk a little bit about the facility from yesterday. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much again.
Thank
for
you.
coming. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right. So perhaps you heard that we, the city and the Center Ice Foundation, are kind of working together. Come on in. And we are going to be working together as this new facility has come in for the Ice Foundation. So we've got some pictures. You've seen it on social media, so I may look down to reference them, but I think most everybody has seen a lot of this stuff. So first of all, why don't you tell me who you are, tell everybody out in Reynoldsburg who you are and what you're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. So I personally am Bob McElhenney. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Center Ice Foundation. The Center Ice Foundation, much more importantly, is a foundation that was put together by hockey moms and hockey dads that identified a need in our area for additional athletic facilities, specifically for underserved athletics. We are, hockey folks, so we kind of look through the lens of hockey, but as we really worked our way through this project and have something we've been at for well over 3 years now. As we've kind of worked our way through it, we have found so many other underserved sports, lacrosse, even indoor facilities for soccer and football and baseball, things that are just not quite as I know you're ready to go.
Baseball.
Things that can be really tough for folks to find, especially on our side of town. So that's kind of how we came to be and how we're here. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We had a really exciting day yesterday, and we're excited to move forward.
It's been a lot of fun. I've looked at a lot of commentary on social media, just in general about certain things. And there's a couple of big questions that have always come up, and I'll give you a couple, but I'm going to answer a couple straight off. The land is basically, it's owned by the city, and about 5 acres on the western side of it is going to be for a medical facility that is basically compensating the city for a majority of the total cost of everything. And then the rest of it is going to be done by your foundation through a massively great capital campaign and some really good fundraising opportunities, naming rights, all of those different things that come along. So this is the perfect example of a public-private partnership. So that's one of the big issues in there. I know the cost is going to be around $20 million-ish, give or take, all of these, the different amenities and things like that. But it's a conscious thing that the foundation is going to be looking to do. But there's going to be a lot of other ways in there too. The retail, maybe some other medical offices, and all that fun stuff that you don't need to hear from me because he's going to tell you that. But there are a couple of questions that came up that are really important that I wanted to kind of touch on. The first one is we have an amazing superhero sports program here in Reynoldsburg. Superhero sports are for kids that are either limited mobility or autistic and things of that nature. And we're doing things in our civic park plan to actually address some of those concerns. They've done a lot of work already. And so there was a question yesterday, is this going to be a facility that is accessible to everyone, including those with special needs or limited mobility? And I figured that if anyone could answer that one, this is your question to
Sure.
answer.
No, what an awesome question. And a question that needs to be asked. It probably needs to be asked more often than it is. Yes, the simple answer is yes. This facility is quite literally for everyone. This facility has been from day one thought of through the lens of making sure that those that need it most have access. One of our sort of guiding principles has actually been our sled hockey community. So our sled hockey community is somewhat small but very, very mighty. If you're not familiar with sled hockey, if those watching are not familiar with sled hockey is a sport played by folks in a literal sled. They have two long ice skate blades underneath the sled. They have two sticks that they hold with essentially spikes on the ends that they use to propel themselves across the ice. It is one of the most incredible sports you'll ever watch. Unfortunately, these folks run into issues often of accessibility, exactly like you said. Oftentimes facilities, whether they be ice rinks or field houses or really any sports facility, they're not necessarily built to accommodate these folks. And that's a massive problem and something that we're going to work to solve. So whether they be adults, whether they be children, everyone of every ability is going to be able to use our facility to the absolute fullest.
That's exactly what it is. And that was one of the things that, while I'm attracted to a lot of this stuff, just the passion for that particular piece. You had talked about, veterans and having that accessibility. That means a lot to that community. And I think to have that opportunity, and I think what was interesting is, I think people can have sled hockey in certain other facilities, but it was the question of how do you get from the locker room to the actual ice itself that will be addressed in a facility like this, and that was really cool about it. So I know that was one question that popped up on social media just to make sure that was there. The other one is, what about, say, an indoor sport like volleyball or basketball? Now I know that there were a lot of talks about, so is the ice going to be able to be covered like they do at Nationwide Arena, so they can have other functions that go along there? Is that something that you guys have thought of?
There certainly is the potential for that. I can say that the likelihood that the ice would be covered as opposed to covering the turf in the field house, it's less likely that the ice would be covered. You're absolutely right. Nationwide is able to do that. Nationwide is going to have a few more folks working for them than we do, so that's a piece of it, right? They may have a little bit more revenue, with 20,000 people a night coming in, right? So they have that ability. It is difficult and it is expensive to pull ice out, put ice back in, and even to cover ice can be difficult. So that doesn't mean the answer is no. The answer is just more likely that those things would happen in the field house. I actually had a conversation with a gentleman today about what they call deck hockey or roller hockey. That obviously can't be played on turf either. So that's absolutely something that we're considering and that we're factoring in so that we can make sure that we do have a surface available for those types of sports and activities.
I'm going to show a picture, the front picture of, I guess, the fun picture of everything as we're going on. Are there any other particulars, things that you're excited about, any other amenities that this facility is going to be able to offer?
Yeah, absolutely. The facility, I think you can run down the list of amenities like you said, right? Will it have an ice rink? Of course. It'll have the field house. There will be restaurant. There will be office space. Even potentially medical space. Hospitality. It's really all going to be there. But I think that the way that we've looked at it from day one and the way that I think makes most sense to folks is this is a facility where mom and dad and kids, of course, are going to come to the facility. Mom is going to have the opportunity to do a 10, 20 person hour-long yoga class. Dad's going to go hit a bucket of balls for 45 minutes in a golf simulator, right? Little Johnny's going to be working on his soccer skills in the field house. Little Susie's going to be finishing up hockey practice. They're all going to be doing it at the same facility at the same time. They're going to come back together when it's all done. They're going to sit at a restaurant, not the concession stand where they're getting, a hot pretzel and cheese, right?
There's nothing wrong with hot pretzel.
No, I know. I don't mean to hate on the hot pretzel. I'm with you, but they're going to sit down at the restaurant. They're going to have a meal. They're going to catch up on their day, on their week. They're going to have a family time together. Yeah. We all know that as families engaged in athletics, we are in a million different directions all the time. We know that, right? And one kid's over here and one kid's over here, and mom and dad have to figure it out, and that's the way it is, and we understand that. And what we're trying to do is not just have a facility where you can come and play. Of course, that's what you're going to be able to do, but we want you to be together. We want you to be able to do it inclusively and holistically right here.
Well, we did get one question yesterday. It was actually interesting. It was you mentioned little Susie playing hockey. It was actually a young girl who actually plays hockey, and she was when is this thing going to be built? When is this thing going to be done? And it's not going to be done for her to be able to play. But the first thing that she said, I'll coach. I mean, it just like that. She was already planned. So you already got a coach when that time comes.
Perfect. I'll hire her right now.
There we go. I know that 2023, 2024, that's like, fall of 23 and early 24 was kind of one of the scheduled ideas. The other question that I heard, and it was floating around about this particular facility, is apparently the moms are going to have a spa. That's one of the things that was kicked around as a potential idea.
No idea is a bad idea.
Genius, in all honesty, but at the same time, I was like, what? You can really tell that this is something that has been thought of by people who spend their weekends going to tournaments and what those things could be like.
Well, here's what's really neat about our facility. Here's what's one of the many things that's very different about our facility than others you might find in the region. Our facility is going to include space. If we've used the analogy, you may have heard of salon lofts, right? Mm-hmm. Where when you go into this facility, essentially you have individuals, contractors that rent their specific space, and they're able to work with their clientele there. Maybe these folks are just getting started. Maybe they don't have the breadth of clientele that would warrant having their own office or something like that, but they have a space where they can conduct business. We're going to have a very similar model in a piece of our facility where you may be a yoga instructor, you may run a spin class, you may be a golf instructor, you may be a hitting coach, you may be whatever it is, right? That you can go and rent this space and work with your clientele right there, in the facility. So could a spa exist here? Of course it could, right? Could it be in the retail or office space? Of course it could. But could something very similar be in a maybe less permanent space that we'll have available? Of course it can.
I just thought it was great that moms are thinking of having a spa in there. So, I know we have a couple questions.
I have one.
All right, go ahead.
It says, what are the plans for traffic flow? Obviously, Hanson can't handle all the extra traffic with no turn lane, and Coda Bus is always sitting on the side of Hanson.
Yeah, actually, I can help with this one because we've already talked about ways to address that. So obviously, the entire area's traffic flow is going to be kind of reorganized. We're going to be working with Coda to get them to go to a different location for a turnaround. Reynoldsburg is going to be part of what they call the bus rapid transit line, so we're going to try and get them to extend it out of that particular area a little bit further, maybe to, past the Kroger on Taylor and Main in that particular area. So that'll get the Coda buses out of there. We'll redo some of the traffic lines, including a dedicated turn lanes as well as stoplights. And then ultimately what we'll do is we'll figure out by people who are much smarter at traffic management than either of us are, they'll be able to figure out where exactly is the best place to put the building, the traffic lights, and all of that, so that way it doesn't interfere with the residences in the surrounding areas. But those things are absolutely going to be looked at, and we've already had some preliminary conversations about what that needs to be like.
That's it for right now.
That's it. I'm excited. I know the superintendent of Reynoldsburg City Schools, Dr. Melvin Brown, was there yesterday. He talked about getting a hockey team for Reynoldsburg, a lacrosse team for Reynoldsburg, and just open up those avenues for sports. I know somebody was talking about indoor volleyball at one point in time for some, exhibition matches. An indoor field for soccer, I think, would be something that would be kind of cool, like a showcase piece. A friend of mine, actually, we were at a cross-country meet, and he is, I think he just got his 4th degree in black belt. I'm not 100% sure if it was 4th degree or all I know is that there was these cement blocks and that he just crushed them, and there were like 5 of them. So he went through all of it, but we were talking, and he was like, well, how big is this field space going to be? And I said, about the size of a football field, maybe without the end zone, but big enough. And he's like, I wonder if they could have like martial arts exhibitions or tournaments. And so, I contacted him like, this is exactly what we're talking about. Something where you have the space for something that is an underserved or unappreciated sport in certain things, and you can have that there, and you have a location with all of those other amenities that are there. That's exactly why this is such a cool project. The City of Reynoldsburg is thrilled to be a part of helping out with everything. So
no, I agree with you, and I spoke with Dr. Brown last night as well, and was inspired by his passion. And when he talks about, and actually the guests before me, from the school board, talking about their passion and providing, outlets for our young people to experience parts of life, parts of recreation that maybe they wouldn't have been able to experience before. It is really neat. And when you go to a baseball field, you're going to be exposed to baseball. And when you go to an ice rink, you're going to be exposed to hockey, right? But when you're going to come to our facility, you're going to be exposed to multiple different sports. And you're right, when Susie's at hockey practice, she may very well get off the ice and see Taekwondo going on in the field house and say, you know what, I want to try that too. And that's what's so incredible.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Any last second questions?
Nope.
All right. So again, this is we've taken our first steps into what's going to be a great partnership and a long journey to get this thing done. I'm looking forward to those conversations. It's going to be great so far. The facilities look great. It's going to be a wonderful experience. Got a lot of exciting things going on in Reynoldsburg. The last little tidbits of information. We are about 98% set on what's going to come in at the Happy Dragon location. So hopefully that design will be out for the December Planning Commission. But we'll probably have that information beforehand. Once I have it, trust me, you'll see it. But again, it's going to be very much restaurant-oriented, coffee, ice cream, that type of stuff, as well as a dentist office and some other things in there. So we know that that's what's going to be in there. We just have to get the shape of the building just right. So we're making sure that we're dealing with that. Because for us in that area, it's right by French Run, and so there's a creek and there's water, and we got to make sure that the storm water is addressed in that area. But we're trying to get that there. We just want to make sure that we do it right. With that brings an end to the spectacular version of the 12 o'clock show for this week. Again, you'll see me in costume the next couple of days. I'll forgive you this time, but next Halloween.
I'm sorry, that's on me.
And you don't have to come as, I was thinking I could come in as something from Slapshot, or I could, Jason if I want to go a little bit more horror story. But definitely I think that's what we'll look at for next year. Our next show is next week. It'll be after the election. So I do want to remind you, everybody out there, that we do have an election next week. We know that it's a very popular topic on social media and things of that nature. My advice to you when you're looking to decide who you're looking to support in this next election is to actually contact the candidates themselves, ask them their personal views, and see where they are looking to move the city of Reynoldsburg. Continue moving forward and improving some of these things and these quality of lives for projects like this to come on and that type of thing. So I'm really enthusiastic about it. Obviously, make sure you get all the facts you need to make the right decision when it comes to voting for the bond issue. I know where I stand. You better know where I stand at this point on that particular issue as well. So hopefully we'll have a fun time on late Tuesday night when all those returns come in, and then we continue to make Reynoldsburg the city we all know we want it to be. So again, Bob, I thank you so much for coming today. To my previous guest, Board President Debbie Dunlap, Board Member Angela Abram, thank you for coming as well and sparing some time to talk to us about all the cool things in the school district. Next week, City Council President Angie Jenkins will be our guest, and I'm sure we'll probably do an election recap and some other fun things as well about what's going on in the city of Reynoldsburg. In the meantime, please stay safe, stay respectful, especially on social media over the next week. We know passions can be heated out there, but again, we're all part of the same community. We all want what's best for Reynoldsburg. So keep that in mind when you're typing away out there. And please, as always, put your shopping carts away. It's very important. So everybody else have a great time. We'll see you soon.